the success of Jonathan Kuminga, ultimately, it's on the player, right? Like, or is it on the head coach at this point? Because I do think a lot of fans feel that it's on the head coach. Is the success of Jonathan Kuminga on Steve Kerr? Did you hear when Slater said, who covers the Warriors 95% of the game, we just played that cut from Anthony Slater, and he was likening to, he's like, maybe they feel like they're a little scared of Jimmy and JK like they were JK and Andrew Wiggins. I was like, Jimmy Butler's just a completely different player than Wiggins. Like, it's totally different.
But Kerr does have certain philosophies that I don't know. There's certain things he's stubborn on that I don't agree with.
Like the vision of a Jimmy Butler as a passer, infinitely better than what Andrew Wiggins ever was.
Yeah.
Like, that's why it's so much different to me. Like, I feel like Jimmy's the perfect player to unlock. I really believe this, that Jimmy Butler is the perfect player to unlock Jonathan Kuminga. We just haven't seen it yet. And will we ever see it? And can we see it soon enough to the point where, you know, we feel good about him and Jimmy being on the court together and being a positive on there? Because right now it hasn't been a positive, and that's what's frustrating.
And they're missing, I'm telling you, like with Curry out and Podziemski now in the starting lineup, they don't have that backup point guard to set up that second unit. That second unit is bad.
11 games left. They need Stephen Curry back. I think he's going to play tomorrow.
Right now, do you trust Kevon Looney off the bench?
No, I don't. He doesn't play enough for me to trust him right now.
Okay, do you trust Gee right now?
Not really, because again, confidence is so huge with these guys and matchup given. Let me backtrack on Kevon a little bit, depending on the matchup. I know what I'm getting from him. I'm not questioning.
Not today.
No, right now. Like, I don't question.
Things change.
I don't question his mental, like the IQ and the mentals there. Like the physicality though, and like he's a slightly diminished player than what he once was. I know he's going to be a gamer. He's going to try, but like, is he going to be a winning player on the court? I don't know. Like I don't know.
Right. Like I trust GB2 right now. I don't trust
Buddy Hield.
There you go. Right?
I don't trust Buddy Hield.
So they're playing different.
For him to gain my trust, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. He needs to shoot the ball.
But Joe, you're playing Kuminga alongside three guys no one trusts at times. Not long times, but at times.
And how could Kuminga trust them in a way too?
Right? Yeah. So like you're looking at a ball stopping situation with a bunch of non-shooters and guys that aren't great.
No, it's a good point. You know who is great? It's a great caller. It's Tim in Raleigh, North Carolina.
What's up, Tim?
What's up, Timmy? How you doing, man?
What's up, guys? Hey, Shasky, man, that's why I love you, man, because you know the game and you see it, right? Like, I mean, everybody knows that we need the absolute best version of this guy to kind of maximize our talent, except the coach. Like, we are literally making some fictitious thing about Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga that's not even there. You just said we haven't seen one pick and roll. We haven't seen any of that. Like, it is absolutely mind-boggling when we see some of these things, and I have no idea why. You know, quite honestly, man, I'm to the point now where let's get through the season, let them lowball offer this kid whatever they're going to offer and get him out of here, because playing under this coach, and listen, it's just not there. I mean, if you can't put a guy in a position to be successful, especially a 22-year-old who's coming back to a whole new team, that when he left, it was being ran through him, and leading up to his comeback, all he's hearing from the coaches, it's not going to be ran through you, and actually it's going to go through Jimmy, and you better be ready to adapt. Like, I think sometimes we don't understand, like, the mental aspect of this thing, man. So it's just not going to work, man. I'm ready to let's lowball offer the kid over the summer. Let him move on, because honestly, I'm a fan of him, and I want to see what he's going to do with a coach that's going to empower him and want to get the best out of him. All his success, Shasky, all his success, man, has come from him being like self-made and having to just go get it. It hasn't come from them really putting him in a position to be successful. It was right before he got hurt, and that was reluctantly.
Yeah,
Tim,
let me get in here. I want to hear your point on this. Don't cut him off, fellas. When they run an offense basically 4 out and one guy who's either in the dunker spot or he's triangling up to the elbow, back down to the other dunker spot. They run GP2 in that role, depending on the lineups that they have. They'll put Kevon in that role, which because he's not going to stretch the floor. They'll never put Kuminga there. They always have Kuminga out on the perimeter. And I'm like, that's not where he's best utilized. Put him in that dunker spot alongside the appropriate 4 on the outside as we go. Like, it's not a 5-out offense. They run like a 4-and-1. I never see them do that with him. I never see him be the lone guy to come up and set the screen. Like, there's things that you can do, subtle little things that you can do to utilize the skill set that he's got, and I don't see them doing that. Tim, are you still there?
Yeah, man. You remember that? You remember Shasky? They running him out there with Gee,
I know.
Looney,
I know.
GP. I mean, Shasky. Do you remember the Clippers game when every time he was catching the ball, he was on the move?
Yeah.
And it was just like it was like poetry in motion. And like even against the Suns, it was just poetry, man. But who he's out there with matters. We haven't seen him out there with Jimmy, Dre, Post. Like, I mean, we were envisioning him out there with a stretch five. So pick and roll with Post. So now when he comes off, if that guy doesn't help, Post is wide open. We haven't seen it, Chuck. What the? So if you can see this, well, you know what we will see, Shasky? We will say, when everybody on the team was a minus going into the fourth quarter, but they had an opportunity to make their minuses look better, but his minus, he didn't have a chance to make his look better. So what we're going to see, he was a minus 18. Yeah. It doesn't work with him. But that's what we're going to say,
it's unfair.
man.
It's unfair.
Thanks,
Tim, it's
Tim.
unfair.
It is. Well, that's why the plus minus things are all, I don't, it's whatever. Like it could, like any stat, there's positives and negatives with it, like a plus minus. Like how I did that? Like minus 18 overall, like the whole team, they were down 40 in the first quarter. Like the whole team stunk. Sorry. 888-957-9570. It kind of leads me to this question. We've been like tiptoeing around it. Like, you know, the success of Jonathan Kuminga, ultimately, it's on the player, right? Like, or is it on the head coach at this point, putting him in a position to succeed? Because I do think a lot of fans feel that it's on the head coach, and he's ultimately going to be the one that decides the success of it. No, it is both, Joe Shasky.
I think it's both.
But I do think there's a question.
Because that takes JK off the hook.
But I do think that it's a question for the fan base at 888-957-9570. Is the success of Jonathan Kuminga on Steve Kerr? Like, is it on him to like have this kid succeed? Like, I do think a lot of fans feel that way, and I'm curious to see if there are fans that feel that way. 888-957-9570. By the way, Steve Kerr on today on our airwaves, 3 o'clock with Willard and Dibbs. You are not going to want to miss that. Courtesy of the River Islands guest line, head coach of the Golden State Warriors, Steve Kerr, joining the boys at 3 o'clock today. You're not going to want to miss that because I do think they're going to ask him the Jonathan Kuminga question, and it's an important one.
Well, okay, so before I answer your question, why do we do this with this Warrior team? Like, and I know we do this in other sports, but like this Warrior team a couple years ago, it's all because of Kevin Durant. He's a jerk. He's this. He's that. Get him out of here. And we ran, not everyone. I'm talking about a small segment of fans ripping KD at every turn. Oh, the real Warrior basketball is when he's not on the floor. Okay, whatever. He's not one of the greatest players of all time. Got it. Okay, right. Then it was
That's the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard in my life. Real quick. Real Warriors basketball is when Kevin Durant is not
that's not
on
everyone.
the floor.
That's not everyone. It's just this weird segment. And then it's like, Jordan Poole is so bad. He's the worst. Look, and I was frustrated with him too. Like I was the biggest JP fan. Love Jordan Poole.
Party. It was fun.
I thought he was going to be the next to get the baton at some point down the line. You know, who knows? But like, he's the reason why we're not winning. Like, okay, he's not good right now, but he's not the only thing. They couldn't stop anyone, right? And there was a lot of issues. Then we ran him out of town after running KD out of town. And then it was Klay Thompson. Klay's the worst ever. And look, I had some criticisms for Klay, but I didn't think it was all Klay's fault, nor did I think Klay's the X, Y, and Z reason of why that team didn't go farther. They weren't good enough. Now, did I want him to have a different role? Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. But I wasn't running him out of town, and I wasn't disrespecting him at every single turn. But it was Klay's fault, and then we got rid of Klay. And now it's like hyper-focused after, by the way, we also had Wiseman somewhere jumbled in there where it was his fault. Mm-hmm. Now it's Kuminga's fault. It's like, guys, everybody, it's not one player's fault when a team wins or loses. It's not one player's fault when you don't win at all, okay? It's just not. We did this to Harrison Barnes at one point in time. We did this to Monte Ellis at one point in time.
Tart.
We've done, but I'm talking about Warriors. I'm talking about Warriors land.
I'm just saying, I'm just goes with sports in general. Sure. We always want to blame one player.
We isolate one guy on the floor. Mike Dunleavy at one point was this guy for the Warriors. Troy Murphy was. Like, it's exhausting. And I'm not saying that Kuminga is the end-all, be-all. Believe me, I see the flaws. Like, there's a lot that frustrates me with Jonathan Kuminga. I also see the talent, and I see the flashes. And so there's a happy medium here. But he's not the worst player on the planet.
No, he's
I
not.
don't get why he's so
polarizing. We had this conversation.
It drives me crazy.
Because Joe Shasky, because it's patience level with fan base, and it's also what we have been promised, not promise is strong, but what we have been told from certain members of the media and how important he is for a run for this team. So if he's going to be the difference between winning and losing in the playoffs, if he's going to be the ultimate decider. So if we got Steph, we got Jimmy, and then we need that third score. And if we all think it has to be Jonathan Kuminga. I'm not saying that's what it's going to be, but it has to be him. Then yeah, people are going to be frustrated when they don't see the consistent scoring during the regular season. I was like, this guy's supposed to help us. That guy's supposed to help us. Well, I don't see it against the Hawks. I didn't see it against the Knicks. I didn't see it against the Bucks. That guy, really? So that's why fans get a little frustrated and get a little peeved.
Well, frustrated is one thing. I think running. He can't play basketball at all. It's all right.
Well, fans get angry. That's what every knucklehead fan base is going to do that. We know he can play basketball. We've seen him play good basketball. But right now, there's no patience for it because there's 11 games left in the season and you're clinging to a 6th spot. So people are going to be a little, they're on edge.
I understand.
They're on edge, Joe Shasky. They should be on edge.
I've seen this script before, and it bugs me that we have to isolate one guy, and the reason they lost to Atlanta. No, I'm not saying this is extreme, but there's a second. It's because of Kuminga. It's like they lost because nobody showed up.
No one showed up.
Kuminga included.
They didn't. 888-957-9570. We're going to hit the injury report here in just a second. Oscar in Stockton, Ryan in St. Louis, AJ in LA. We'll get to all of you on the other side. They want to talk Steve Kerr. They want to talk Jonathan Kuminga. And that relationship right there is what I want to dive into, and what we have been diving into. Is Jonathan Kuminga and his success, is a lot of that on Steve Kerr? Is it on the player? Where's the happy medium between that? I think I know the answer. I think Joe Shasky knows the answer. What say you, though? Let's hit the injury report. Steph Curry is back with the Warriors, but not necessarily on the court. He will join the Warriors on the road trip to Miami and could suit up depending on how his pelvic bruise responds to treatment over the next 2 days. An MRI on Friday revealed no structural damage, and Steph will be reevaluated later today. The injury report was brought to you by Boxer & Gerson, Northern California's premier workers' compensation law firm, helping injured workers get their lives back for over 40 years. What's coming up on the game is brought to you by Fremont Bank. Here for you, here for good. It's AJ in LA. It's Oscar in Stockton. It's Ryan in St. Louis. It's Joe Shasky. It's Joe Spadoni. It's Carter. It's Loveman. It's all of us talking Dubs after a disappointing loss on Saturday. Come on back halfway home on a Monday here in the Bay. Good morning to Phil Mike. Good morning to all of you getting up here. We are live from the Laughing Monk Studios here in downtown San Francisco. It is beautiful. The sun is shining. It is a Monday. We love Mondays here in the Bay. Tuesdays stink, but I like Mondays. You know why? Because I get to react, Joe Shasky, with you, with Carter, with Sam, with everyone, to the action that took place this weekend. There was a lot of action happening this weekend. Warriors take a big fat L in Atlanta to start their road trip. It's time to rush Stephen Curry back. Blessing in disguise my ass. We need Steph back and to help in a big, big way. Jonathan Kuminga been struggling a little bit since coming back from the injury. Draymond Green didn't have his greatest scoring output. There's a lot baked into there. There's the Steve Kerr angle. March Madness is upon us as I almost smacked my mic and hit the cover off. I went to the Oakland Roots game over the weekend. They had their home opener at the Coliseum. That was a lot of fun. Took baby girl, take baby boy. We had a great time. Two-shirt performing at halftime. Anytime two-shirts performing, you know it's going to be a banger. It's going to be fun. And it was loud. Everyone was rapping. Everyone was having a good time. It was great. And the weather, again, is going to be beautiful today and tomorrow. So that means, no, you're staying in your cars, but you're just going to have the top down if you have a convertible, and you're going to be blasting 95.7 the game. And it does feel like Miami weather, not quite with the humidity, but the next 2 days. And they're going to be in Miami for these coming days, Joe Shasky. And will Stephen Curry be joining them to play tomorrow? We know he's joining the team, but will he play? And that urgency level after that loss, does that ramp up for you, Dub Nation? Is it time to rush Stephen Curry back to play with this team after that loss on Saturday? 888-957-9570. Good morning, Joe. How you doing today? You got sprayed, by the way. Joe Shasky, real quick, pulling the curtain back. We were going, we have like a lot of like loose like glasses and like spoons and like knives and forks just in the studio, which should not be the case, but you know, people like to leave their crap here for some reason. So Joe Shasky was being the father of the station, be like, no, I got to go put this back. So he took a fork that wasn't his, that was just in here, and was trying to go put it in the dishwasher, like a responsible person does. So what does he do? He opens up the dishwasher and absolutely gets land-basted like a super soaker in the summer, just sprayed with water everywhere, just reacted like, oh my God. And he closed it accordingly, but he wasn't looking at the sign on the dishwasher that said running. So you got sprayed, Joe Shasky. You got woken up there. I'm so sorry. And it was in front of a couple people. Did you feel embarrassed?
No, it was just more like, gosh, no good deed goes unpunished. That's what it felt like, you know? Yeah, everyone's been there. Like, oh, okay, so you guys are just going to leave forks and cups and stuff here in the studio? Well, I'm going to go put it away and be a good citizen. And the next thing you know, I'm the one who gets sprayed in the face by the dishwasher machine.
And you're going to be doing that for the rest of your life with baby LJ. And you're going to be cleaning up his messes, right? I heard you on the call yesterday. It was funny. He was calling me. And he's like, no, don't touch that. Don't touch your hair with that. That's all I heard in the back. Dude. I was like, either his hands were full of like peanut butter or something, because it had to have been a certain substance that was very difficult to get off of hair. We've all been there. It's like, you saying that is basically you also saying, I'm not trying to give you a bath right now.
No.
That's not what I'm trying to do.
Cheese tamale.
Oh, that sounds delicious,
It was delicious. We went to the farmer's market at Stonestown in the morning to grab a couple of quick things, and the tamales were there. I love fresh tamales.
Oh, they're so good. And it's because it's especially during Christmas time, because that's what they eat. Mexico, so it's traditionally. There's a lot of tamales during Christmas. Love me a tamale, pork, chicken, doesn't matter, or cheese or spinach. Shout out to those watching on YouTube, and shout out to those eating tamales. So brought to you by First NorCal Credit Union.
He had spinach, cheese, stuff all over his hands. He does this thing. So like, I'll feed him because the last time that Dad and him were eating, this is a couple weeks back, he dropped the spoon on the ground. The dog swallowed the spoon, and it cost me thousands of dollars to get his stomach pumped. Long story short,
throwing it up, right? The dog, he was okay.
Yeah, he threw it up, and then I threw out those little nubbed silicone.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So now I try to feed him, but he does this thing where he'll eat it, stick it out of his mouth, pull it into his hand,
it's gross.
Throw it back into his mouth.
Gross.
It is disgusting. And then he starts combing his hair almost, if you will, with the spinachy cheese hands. And I'm like, dude, stop.
Just wait until they start eating it and tasting a little bit, and then they try to put it into your mouth. Like, here, I have some, and they're trying to be cute. You eat some too. And then you just give him that stiff arm. Get that
new move.
Get that ass out of here, kid.
He drops it on the ground, looks over his little area to see the dogs eat it up as fast as possible. He gets a kick out of it.
Because he gets a reaction. That's what kids love. They want a reaction, Joe Shasky.
And then he looks at me like, you like that? I'm like, no, I don't like that.
No, I don't, because that dog's going to be farting all night. It's going to be laying in bed with me. And there you go.
What do you think's cleaning up that mess?
And there you go. We got some messes to clean up on the phone lines, because there's a lot. It's packed right now. 888-957-9570.
I love a good tamale.
I can go for some like right now with some salsa verde. Maybe some tapatio. A little tapatio.
I think they were called Donnas. I think it was called Donnas.
Okay, that's
in Martinez, California. I'm trying to think of the name. So
Donnas
shout out Donnas
or Doñas.
Yeah, if I pronounce it wrong, I apologize.
It's okay. I just got to make sure those little enyes on there.
Yeah. I don't know if it had that, but it's fine.
It's all right.
Delicious.
Oscar is in Stockton, wants to join the conversation. We love Oscar in Stockton. 888-957-9570. What's going on, Oscar? You're on Spadoni and Shasky.
Hey, what's going on, Joes? But hey, man, I'm just getting tired of everybody calling in about Steve Kerr. I mean, and Jonathan Kuminga. Let me say one thing. The guy in North Carolina, I know he got passion. I've been coaching and doing the same thing for a long time. With a championship organization like the Warriors, you got to understand, Jonathan Kuminga just got back on the team with an ankle injury. So my thing is that he has to get back to the floor of the game. And with the way Jonathan Kuminga plays, he has to understand the isolation game, you got to do within 0.5 seconds. And when he gets the ball, he holds on to it. Jonathan's going to be a good player. We got to get him at least 10 games, but we don't have patience to allow for mistakes to come and mess up the karma. So people got to understand Steve Kerr is going to coach this team like this, and everything is going to go through Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler, because this is not Washington Wizards. This is the Golden State Warriors. It's unfortunately that the young players come in at a young age, straight out of high school, the AAU ball, and they doesn't have all the things that Brandon Podziemski is possessed with, or Moses Moody is possessed with. So he got to understand he got to kick back and take a step back, which I think he will, and let Steve Kerr coach him. So people got to understand he's going to be a valuable piece to us, but he's got to be a valuable piece to the way we have to use him. So he's got to understand you got to get to the rebounding, and you got to start playing defense. But we're going to need Jonathan Kuminga, and Jonathan Kuminga is going to need Steve Kerr. So people stop calling in about Steve Kerr, one of the best coaches there is in basketball, and he's a player's coach. On that point, man, the Warriors is going to be the top 5 seed. And if Kerr got to sit out this next game, so what? He has to sit out this next game. We're going to need Curry for the next 4 or 5 games in the rest of the season, man. The Warriors are in good shape, man. Calm down, and Kuminga is going to do a good job. At that point, Joe, you guys are doing a great job, man, and keep it up.
Appreciate
Go
it.
Warriors.
Thank you, Oscar.
Again, I understand him saying calm down to everyone, but there's 11 games left in the season, and you're clinging to the 6th spot right now. You're Donovan clinging to the 6th spot right now. I give myself a 4 for that reference. But I understand what he's saying, where it's like, let's all just take a deep breath on the Steve Kerr, Jonathan Kuminga. It's only been a couple weeks now, but a couple weeks turns into 3 to 4 to months, and then it starts becoming a trend. Like, well, at one point, is this starting to say, like, you know what, the JK thing, like, can we continue to look at him as this team's 3rd best scorer if that's what he needs to be for this team to make a deep run? Or do we start looking elsewhere on the roster and saying, you know what? Draymond Green was scoring at a very high level the last few weeks. And during this Jimmy Butler era, Joe Shasky, he's been one of their most consistent and best scorers. He's been shooting that 3 ball. He's been chucking that thing. Didn't have a great night Saturday, but overall, the totality of Draymond Green, the scoring experience has been great the last few weeks. Like, maybe we start need to recalibrating when it comes to who needs to be that 3rd scorer come playoff time. And I get it. Maybe Draymond's consistency won't be there because he's going to be battling some really, really tough offensive players, and it's going to take a lot out of him on the offensive side, what he has to do defensively. We talk about that a lot. The team's hunting Steph on the defensive end, right, and trying to wear him out on the offensive end, vice versa. So there's going to be a lot of that baked into it. And Jonathan Kuminga, I do think he's going to be getting some good looks still, because you're going to be forced to honor the Jimmy Butlers and the Stephen Currys. I question whether we should start looking at it as, JK having to be the team's 3rd best player in a playoff run. Like, maybe he doesn't. Maybe it does need to be Draymond. Maybe it does. Is that fair? Or is that too of a quick reaction of the last few weeks of Jonathan Kuminga and Draymond Green offensively? No,
I think there's a direct correlation. Like, they look their best when Dre is hitting some shots. I think that's necessary. 3rd best scorer, I don't know. Like, that's asking a lot from him. 15 a game, that's the sweet spot. To me, like 13 to 15 a game, if I was knowing that I was getting that from Draymond Green every game, wow. I mean, how different would this offense look? Maybe not 3rd best scorers, not the best, because that involves like points and how many points are you scoring, but definitely like the 3rd option of like, I need the consistency from this guy. Yeah. Like that I'll buy. I'll buy. That's like the consistency of the Draymond Green offensively. Let's talk about this last game. I didn't think his offense was that great. I didn't think his defense was that great. I thought he was a sluggish version of Dre. But to be fair, I feel like I've gotten a version of him for about a month and a half now where it's turned back the clock. The body of work. Yeah. So, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, right? But there is something to be said. They're these bigger guys that want to bang and are younger than him and way more than him. God, do they want to bang? They're crushing him right now. The thing with Kerr, like, if we critique something about Steve Kerr, that doesn't mean he sucks. We're nitpicking here, but that's part of kind of the job. So, like, for example, Willie McCovey, one of the greatest players of all time. Hall of Famer. Okay. This guy, Orlando Cepeda, came up, and they both played first base. Heard of him. They threw Willie McCovey in left field, and he was like a fish out of water. He was not a left fielder. All right, he's a Hall of Fame first baseman. I do not think Jonathan Kuminga is a Hall of Famer. Oh, that's not what I'm saying. But what happens in the Kerr offense is you're asking him to basically play left field, right? That's this read and react, make decisions, be a passer, take a dribble, kick it here. Like that really doesn't accentuate what he does well. No, honestly, it was a perfect team to play against because I think he'd excel great in an Atlanta Hawks system. Totally agree. He'd be perfect. He'd be like John Collins was a couple years back, right? Like, how he was just ripping, dunking, doing all that. So I would say that, like, asking JK to play the read and react exclusively alongside a bunch of non-shooters is really basically like asking him to play left field, the equivalent, right? And so It's the same thing like with Brian Hoyer. Would I want Brian Hoyer running read option?
Oh, God.
I watched Kyle Shanahan run that play a couple times, and I was like, what are you doing? I watched him run
with Trey Lance, and it still didn't work.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing, right? And so when I see JK being asked to do a lot of that read and react stuff, you're asking for trouble. That's not what he does well. So now I go, well, Steve, you are a really good coach. Let's just run a couple high pick and rolls with Jimmy and Kuminga, and let's just see what happens.
Well, that's why I don't think, and Oscar, he
like there's a happy medium.
Well, exactly. I don't think it's this. I don't think people are like, and there are fans, so I don't want to say that are really angry at Steve Kerr, and they just want to see players be put in positions to succeed. That's all we want as fans, and sometimes we don't feel like that's done. And sometimes the coach will own that and say, I need to do a better job, and sometimes they'll say it was the player's fault. Like, again, I'm not saying it's a like-for-like comparison, but the Trey Lance thing, the big part of a lot of fans' vitriol and being angry at Kyle Shanahan, going back to Trey Lance getting drafted so high and trading all that draft capitals, they didn't feel like he was put in a position to succeed early.
No.
They didn't feel like the head coach had trust in him to do the things that he did well in college, whether I was ripping the ball deep or doing they thought like, wow, we're doing quarterback option runs up the gut, like gun runs. Like what, that's what we're doing? Like, then he gets hurt, and then he's like, see, I told you this is what's going to happen. So fans just want to be, showed from the head coach and from the coaching staff that these players are being in position to succeed. So the problem with that is, like, you got to take the training wheels off at some point. The player has to also show that he could do the things that you need. Like we've learned, Trey Lance just might not be good at football.
No doubt.
But it might not be good.
And Kuminga, I don't think he's an all-star level player by any means. But here's what I would say to you. Like, they run the same offense without Curry, like Curry's in the game.
And you can't,
you just can't do that.
Yeah.
You just can't do that.
There's no player that has the gravity of a Stephen Curry out there. That's just going to.
It's like asking I don't even know who's the backup to Lamar Jackson. Play exactly the same way as Lamar Jackson.
Oh, didn't they just sign someone new?
It doesn't matter who it is. You get what I'm saying. There's only one Lamar Jackson. Yeah. And so, like, when I'm telling a lot of Warrior fans.
That's right, yeah. Cooper Rush.
Yeah, exactly. And he's not going to play anywhere like Lamar Jackson. So to think that the Warriors are just going to roll out against Atlanta and run the exact same offense throughout the entirety of the game that they do when Steph Curry's out there, well, I don't think that's smart. I actually don't. I think that's pretty silly. And, like, I would adjust based on the personnel I have out there. Why do you think they settled for so many late in the shot clock shots? Bad shots.
Bad shots.
Because you're waiting for someone to come off the screen who's not playing.
Yeah.
The way you were playing basketball with Steph is not the way that you would play if Steph was out for 2 months. You would adjust the style. So with him being out, I thought that their offensive sets were lackluster.
Is that the most like the final piece to the puzzle, if you will, right? You talking about this puzzle, this Rubik's Cube, Tetris, whatever reference you want to use, a jigsaw puzzle. Like all this mixing and matching since Jimmy Butler's here. So we got Jimmy Butler, we got Draymond Green, Quentin Post has been playing well, Moses Moody, Brandon Pajemski, Guy Santos here and there, Buddy Hield, I want some more consistency there, but he's shown some flashes. Gary Payton's been playing well. And Steph, obviously, he's had some big games, big performances, and needed some rest, and he was hurt. Like, if you're Steve Kerr, is that the final piece to this puzzle? Is the Jonathan Kuminga aspect to it? Or is there something that's even more important that we're not talking about when it comes to whether it's the minute allocation with the older guys, whether it's rest, whether it's this Stephen Curry rest angle? Like, I'm trying to.
The final piece of the puzzle is a personnel move, probably in the offseason, to get him a big that would really match
this year.
Yeah, this year, like, I think they're making the most of it. The problem is that you're relying on Buddy Hield to provide certain things, and he's inconsistent. You're relying on GP2 to stay, solid from the outside. Moody, whose shooting hasn't been as good. You're relying a lot on him being a great catch and shoot player. Not good, great. Right? Like, in his limited amount of touches, you need him to be great. And you're asking Draymond Green to go back in the well and be a 15-point a game scorer. So I think they're asking a lot from the current roster. And then you're asking even more when Curry's not on the floor. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Ryan in St. Louis wants to join the conversation. What's up, Ryan? You're all Spadoni and Shasky. How you doing, man?
Good morning. Good morning. How y'all doing today?
I'm doing good.
Great. It's beautiful out here in the Bay.
Awesome, man. Happy spring to everybody, too, as well. I wanted to talk about, y'all remember Moses Moody, maybe, 2 months ago, he couldn't get no consistent playing time, right?
None.
But until the trade happened, he was able to get a role. And for years, everybody was like, hey, Steve Kerr, play Moses Moody more. And same thing with J.K. as well. And I know we look at the team now with Jimmy Butler, and we like, oh, the team has transformed. But because of the GM trading 3 or 4 guys out the way, it shortened the roster and kind of forced Steve Kerr to give these guys roles, right? And so then everybody started seeing Moses Moody go out there and play better with a consistent role and also consistent minutes. And now, even though Buddy was playing horrible, a lot of fans was looking at Steve Kerr was like, how is it that Buddy can play consistent minutes for 3 months straight, shooting 20-some% as a sharpshooter? And then when other guys get in the game, fans pacing for J.K. like, bro, he been back for 2 weeks after being gone for 30 days, and we saying he's terrible, he can't fit in. But we sat there and watched for 30-some games, Buddy Hield play horrible and still always was relied upon. And so what I'm just asking fans for is this, man, let's keep that same energy for J.K. Allow this man to understand he's an athlete. You know what I mean? He's a springy guy. When he did play well, if you look at his career with the Golden State Warriors, every time Andrew Wiggins was missed or a couple players were hurt, he was forced into a role, his game accelerated. He gave you 18 points consistently. The more time he got out there, he was more trusted. And I think the same thing has to happen to him, but he's trying to conform to a whole new roster for him as well. We was begging for a stretch 5. Quentin Post didn't start playing until a trade happened. Quentin Post should have been playing on this team a little earlier because we was needing a big guy, and now we have one. Jonathan Kuminga has never played with him as well. So he's coming into a whole new situation. It's like, man, I was playing good. Now all of a sudden I have to adjust how I'm playing with a guy like Jimmy Butler too. And so I just hope Steve Kerr sit back, take a seat, like, hold on. High pick and rolls. What did J.K. do in the end of the 5-minute game against the Clippers, like Spadoni said earlier, that made him successful? Let's get this guy's confidence back, because that's what he needs, because he feels everybody looking at every little moment, every little move that he makes, and like, oh, am I going to be on the bench, or am I the reason why we're losing? And that's not what you want for a young guy. You know what I mean? We need to empower him and give him that confidence, and also empower Steve Kerr to go out there and let him make a couple mistakes, because you're going to need him. Draymond Green is not going to consistently be that shooter or that guy to average 18 points. We know that's not even the role that he wants to play. And so in order for this team to have the long-term success we might need to make a couple mistakes here and there, but the long-term, Jonathan Kuminga is somebody that we're going to help us against those athletic teams like the Houston, athletic teams like Denver, athletic teams like the Clippers, because we can't beat the Clippers to save our lives. I don't know why we can't. Like, we're going to need this guy. And so I just hope J.K. and Steve Kerr and Jimmy Butler get together, man. We're going to be all right. We just got to give these guys confidence, man, and encourage these young fellas to go out there and be the best they can be.
There you go. That's Ryan in St. Louis right there. How about you go over there, Ryan? I'm going to actually fly you out to Miami. You can give him a pregame speech. You guys seem to go out there and be the best that you can be. All right, there you go. You know what? I like that positive mental outlook from Ryan at the end there, because I do believe this team, top to bottom, like, they can be a very tough out and can make a run in the playoffs if things are clicking on all cylinders. And I do think Jonathan Kuminga needs to be somewhat a part of that. I'm questioning now how big of a role that's going to be going forward.
What do you want his role to be?
I want him to be able to come off the bench and ball out and be that guy that can score. I just want him to go out there and score. If I get anything else, that's great.
So if he's playing 20 minutes a night, like hypothetically, you expect him to score how many points?
18, 20.
How many guys in the league score a point per minute?
888-957-9570. I don't have that in front of me right now.
I mean, even the best scorers in the league don't score a point per minute. That's what I'm saying. Like, I get what you're saying, but like, when we peel the onion back a little and we look at like how many shots you take, how many minutes are you playing, like, we're asking almost unrealistic numbers here.
Well, kind of, but like 16 points. I didn't think that the points were like, it goes back to efficiency at the same time. Like, if it looks good, okay, like, I can deal with 15. Like, same with Draymond, right? Like, his 10 points are not what Jonathan Kuminga's 10 points usually are, because Jonathan Kuminga is going to be taking a lot more shots sometimes. But lately, Draymond has been scoring more and shooting the ball more and being more aggressive, and you just want that overall mindset. So, yeah, I say maybe, and maybe that was strong, 18 to 20 points.
I think a lot of people agree with what, like, maybe not that exact number. Exactly. I think a lot of people agree with you, like, he should be near 20 points a game. And my thing to that would be, like, if you're only playing 20 to 23, 24 minutes a night, we're asking this guy to be a prolific scorer.
And I just don't want it to look clunky. Like, that's really what it is. So, like, he could score 12 or 13 or 10 points, like, And if it looks fluid and within the offense, like I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Because that means the whole team is flowing and it feels good.
Do you know how many minutes a game right now? MVP, the leader in the clubhouse, plays per game. Shea.
How many what?
How many minutes a game
does Shea play? I'm going to guess around 34.
So he plays 34.3 minutes a game.
Look at me.
He scores 32.8. Okay?
It's pretty good.
So I want people to understand, like, you're asking JK, some people, not everyone, like, literally score a bucket per minute. It's like, or excuse me, a point per minute, which would be one of the highest clips in the league.
Well,
so
a lot of people think he should be getting more minutes and should be starting. So that's baked into it too. So a lot of people think the 20 and 22 is not a lot. So I want him to score more. That means he has to be out there on the floor longer.
No, but I think what my thing would be, like, I would take scoring off the table, because I do think that he's fixated with my impact comes via scoring. And I would say to him, no, Jonathan, where your impact would come in is I want you to just be a hellacious defender, and I want you to be a hellacious rebounder and a boxer-outer. If you're doing those things, the points is all gravy. And I think that's the difficult thing right now is everyone else wants him to score and do all those things, and I don't think that should be his role. I think the scoring should be secondary, and I think what I would be asking for him is to be the second or third best defender on the team while simultaneously being one of the second or third best rebounders and boxer-outers. And the area where Wiggins made the biggest jump in the playoffs for that run when they won a championship was not offensively. It was defensively and rebounding. We didn't know he could rebound like that. And so I would take a page out of the GP2 book and say, I want you to be better at everything of those little things that we're looking at. And the scoring stuff would be secondary. I know we're all looking at scoring. Scoring's going to come. It's the defense and the rebounding and the boxing out. And if he does those little things, all the money in the world would be coming to him. All of the shots and everything. Well, we can live with all the other stuff. Do those things.
Biggest area improvement you'd like to see there for Jonathan Kuminga, 888-957-9570. And is the defense more important than the offense at this point for JK? If he wants to have that minute allocation come playoff time, I actually do agree with that, because the one part that was slept on that entire run, it was two-way Wiggins. And again, two-way Wiggins, we kind of laugh at it now, but it was a real thing in that stretch, him going up against the Lukas of the world, getting switched on the Tatums or the Browns. Like, that was such a huge part. When your best player really doesn't play on that side of the ball, and Steph Curry, he tries. I'm not trying to poo-poo. He tries, but that's not his strong suit. Like, you better have someone else there. And that's why the Jimmy Butler move was so huge, and having Draymond Green there. And if you could add Jonathan Kuminga into that, and they have been one of the best defensive rating teams in the NBA during this Jimmy Butler stretch. So I do want to make that clear, but it could be even better if Jonathan Kuminga can emerge there. And that is the great equalizer in a playoff series. If I'm going up against a Thunder and I can get that defensive tenacity going with JK up against those Williams guys or a Shea Gilgeous, that unlocks a whole lot more.